thank you, everybody. Sorry we're running a minute late here, but we'll turn it over to the head coach for an opening comment, and then raise your hands, and we'll get to as many questions as we can. Go ahead, Coach.
Yeah, first of all, I apologize. I'm pretty meticulous about being on time, and I just got a phone call right before I was about to step out the door, so I'm sorry. I know Whit spoke at length yesterday about a variety of subjects. I appreciate him, doing those things, and I'd just like to, start off and cover a couple topics, and then I'm sure there's plenty of questions on a variety of things that I'll be happy to answer to the best of my ability. I'm just, really happy to be here today, and we had a fantastic day with signing day. We've still got two more guys that have signed, but it just has not been announced, and dealing with another guy or two. It's a fantastic day for Virginia Tech football. And I had a wonderful day yesterday. I can't tell you. I met with almost all of our football team face-to-face, one-on-one, and then we had a team meeting in the evening time or late afternoon. And I'm just telling you, we've got some special young men here, just guys that have persevered through incredibly difficult times. And it was really fun talking to them about what we've done and where we're going, and all the nuances of what we've been through that's kind of united us, through these difficult times. I mean, this was obviously hard on everybody, and I felt a special sense of camaraderie for kind of making it through it, and I think about my time in this business, and the ups and downs, and I hear people talk about golf and say it's a humbling sport because you can hit one right down the middle of the fairway and then hit your next shot out of bounds pretty easy. And, this is a humbling profession too. You think you got things figured out, or you think you know what you're doing, and then, some things happen, and all of a sudden it kind of slaps you in the face a little bit. So, in regards to our football team, there's a tremendous amount for us to be proud of. There's some things that disappoint me that are my responsibility and my fault, and it starts with we were an inconsistent football team, to say the least. At times we looked really good out there. At times we were poor. We can point our fingers and make all kinds of excuses for that. But I think it's important and incumbent upon me that when things don't go well, that I do the exact thing that I encourage our players to do, and that's when things don't go well, what kind of person are you? You're the kind of person that looks in the mirror and says, what did I do to contribute to this situation, and what can I do to help fix this? Or are you the type of person that looks out the window and points your finger at everybody else and figures out all the ways you got wronged along the way? And I encourage our players to be the type of people that look in the mirror, and that's what we've been forced to do. I mean, we set out to be a hard, smart, and tough football team. And I thought we were at times, but we were not nearly enough. Not for my liking, not for our fans' likings, not for our supporters' likings, not for anybody that loves and cares about Virginia Tech and Virginia Tech football. And that's my responsibility, and we've got to do better. We've got to be a more consistent football team. We talk about those things. I felt like, just quite honestly, that we talk about grit and stick-to-itiveness because I believe in those things. I believe in showing up every day and doing your very best through difficult circumstances. But being consistent is a part of grit too. And if the things that we hold dear we didn't live up to as a football team on near enough consistent of a basis, and that's my mission and my goal, and that's what we're absolutely going to go get back. I feel like in our times here we have been that, but we were not during this year. We set this program up and our resources up to be the best developmental program in America, and that's through our evaluation of young people. You see it time and time again. You'll see people that are unheralded that go on to do fantastic things or be great players. Virginia Tech's got a long history of that, and we have continued that, and we'll see that in the years to come and in this year, whether they're playing in the NFL or going on to to succeed in business. And, I think we got a lot of cool things going on here in terms of we're building things that are centered around that development model. Like when you take a look at all the construction that's going on, it's all centered around the student athlete. We want to develop them academically, we want to develop them athletically, socially, and spiritually. And I want us to devote all of our resources to our student athletes and their development in those 4 areas. And, because I believe that's the most important. Like, I don't want a waterfall in our locker room. It doesn't make our kids any better. Okay? I want us to try and feed them the best food we can feed them. I want them to be able to lift the best weights in the nicest weight room. I want them to have the best academic counselors and the best support. And we've hired Sam Stewart, who I think is going to be an all-star for us in terms of the social development and interaction for our teams. Obviously, during COVID, that's been limited, but I'm just so excited about our ability to take those principles and start to apply, put them into use here at Virginia Tech. And we're just on the precipice of being able to get to do, some of these things. And I'm quite honestly amazed we had a season at all. And there's a lot of people that deserve a tremendous amount of credit for that. And I'm not going to start naming them because I'll forget them. But they're just like the work the extra work that people across the board did for us to pull off a season at all was fantastic. I got to tell you that the thing that we all missed the most was pulling up from the hotel. I mean, it was a really eerie feeling to pull up from the hotel and have no Hokie walk, have no fans there, have nobody there for our guys to go through Inner Sandman and run out and be used to this incredible emotional rush that you feel when you come out, and to not have anybody there was really surreal. And I think if anything, we realize how much we do miss all of those people, and how big a part it is to everybody's life. And it's really an intricate part of the fabric of everyday life here at Virginia Tech. And to our fans, we miss you. Like we didn't get to have fan day this year, which is one of my favorite days. My girls run around with the players. I get to sit in one spot and meet many of you all that support and love Virginia Tech football. And so those are the tough parts of what we did. But I'm going to tell you this: I'm proud of how we finished, and we have a lot to be proud of for our young people and what they went through. And we ended up winning a rivalry game, and it's given us tremendous momentum heading forward. And we're all best when we're all together. And I have a great feeling about our staff, our support personnel, and ultimately our players to be all in. And I just implore everybody to jump on board and support these kids. We got a whole slew of new ones that have chose Virginia Tech. And they've decided to come be Hokies, and I'm really impressed with their families, with their academics, their grades, their work ethic, and not what they are, but what they can be. And if we're going to be the best developmental program in America, then we've got to trust our evaluation. We've got to trust our ability to get to know these people and project ahead of not what they are, but what they can be. And I couldn't be more excited about all that. So I know that's a mouthful. We've got a lot of things going on. So if you've got questions, please ask.
Andy, let's start with you.
Justin, there's a report out there that you guys are opting out of a bowl game. Have you had that discussion with the players? Has that been finalized?
Yeah, I will say that. Thanks for bringing that up, Andy. I forgot. In our meetings, in the players, I met with the seniors. I've met with almost every player one-on-one, and then we had a team meeting, and our players have decided to not play, and I'm going to support them 100%. And I think it speaks to the difficulty of the season that they've been through. There were players that wanted to play, and we're passionate about that, but we were going to do this all together or not. And it became evident that it was a very difficult situation. There's kids that would like to go home for Christmas. There's kids that haven't been home in some time. You all know all of those things, and this is ultimately about our kids. And I think they've sacrificed enough. They've been at this for some time and given up freedoms and plenty of opportunities. So we're gonna turn the page and get ready to go.
I was curious about your meeting with Witt on Monday. 4 hours is a long meeting. What was just sort of the nature of that conversation? Was it kind of a putting all the cards on the table type thing? Was it an explaining the situation type thing? How would you characterize that discussion? Was it beneficial, do you think?
Oh, I think it was beneficial. I mean, I kind of chuckle a little bit. Like, we have met every week, for however many weeks. It's not like we walked in there and it was like we discussed things that had never been brought up. You know what I mean? Like it was, we talked about, a lot of things, and I think at the foremost part of it is, I don't know. I have been a little bit removed from what's being said, but I've been told that there have been people that have said that he and I don't get along. That's not true. I mean, anything of that nature is being overblown. We had a great conversation. I expressed to him my deep desire to live in Blacksburg, Virginia, to coach at Virginia Tech, and to help this program. My wife and kids love it here. Many of the things that I've said before. I love our football players. I mean, we have a special group, and so we talked about where we're at, and you can imagine I had several things I wanted to talk about. He had several things he wanted to talk about, and we hit about every topic you could possibly imagine.
David Teal.
Justin Witt mentioned yesterday that he thinks that he can do a better job in helping you beyond providing necessary resources, for the program, but just in terms of outreach, executive coaching, and things, and perhaps even peeling back the curtain a little bit on you and your program. What is your reaction to that?
Well, I mean, I appreciate that sentiment. I think that goes back to what I said a minute ago about there's a person that's in charge of something that is not looking out the window, pointing the finger at other people, but looking in the mirror to see what can he do to help this situation. And he is a great resource, and I need to do a better job of using that resource. And it's like I told him, sometimes I get up in the morning and I drive to work when it's dark, and I stay in work, and then I go home, it's dark, I drive home. And I just get in that rhythm of being, I guess my wife would say single-minded, but yeah, I mean, I would be foolish to not take help and have those discussions about what we can do. It's a little bit hard. I mean, he's got a lot of responsibilities. You know what I mean? So, but both of these jobs can be lonely at times. And I think having somebody to bounce things off of and talk to and about the things that we're both dealing with is could be nothing but productive.
Do you feel the need for a little more transparency in the program?
I don't know. Like I don't know what that. I know that doing anything with anyone for the last year has been really, really difficult. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, if you're talking about, it just depends on what we're doing. I know we have some plans. When we hired Daryl Tapp, immediately the first thing I talked to him about were former players and some of those things. And, he put together a plan that I think is really cool. 3 things. We may not be able to do all 3 of them, but, I mean, we haven't been able to do any of them because of COVID. So, I don't know, what all of that entails, but, I want to make sure that we do the best job we can servicing the people that know and believe how important, what we do is. So there's certainly an element to that.
Mike Nisley.
Yeah, Justin, and Whit did, I mean, you mentioned alums, but Whit talked a lot about fan engagement. And do you feel like you've fallen short in that area? I mean, 2020 aside, obviously, because COVID of it all, but I mean, do you feel like you've fallen short and haven't, I don't know, connected with fans in recent years?
I don't know. Like, one of my favorite days of the year is fan day. I enjoy being around people that love Virginia Tech. So, finding some more ways to make those things happen, I'm completely open to. I've never turned down an opportunity to do any of that, within reason. So I'll be certainly open to whatever we're thinking about doing.
And with roster management, have you given guys like a deadline to decide with some of the seniors? You got draft guys, and anybody that has made a decision in terms of, Kristen Jarvis out with the draft, any transfers right now?
Yeah, so no, I have not given those guys a deadline, to answer your question first. We have several that are so let me just kind of paint the picture. So the seniors that have another year of eligibility, if we go over 85 with them, it's okay. So it's not pressing for me. It's not that I can't recruit a freshman because a senior may come back. Does it make sense, Mike? So, there are several of those guys that have said they're absolutely coming back. There's several that have said that they're not. Like Divine Diablo and Khalil Herbert are not coming back. There's several that are not, and then there's several that are in the process of trying to figure it out. That I've told them, please go home and relax and don't do anything, right? And get your body feeling good, and then let's talk in a week or a week and a half. There are some guys that are in the process of making the decisions about whether they should turn pro or come back to school for another year. To be completely candid, there are guys that have already made those decisions or guys that are in the process of making them. I'm not going to break the news with the guys. I'm going to let them do that whenever they feel good about it.
And with transfers, anybody decided to transfer specifically?
I would. Here's what I would tell you about that is I don't want anybody to leave. Okay, this is a part of what we're doing right now. I mean, I'm talking about as college football. There's 1,200 people in the transfer portal as of yesterday, and I would imagine that we'll have some. I have talked to almost everybody on this football team face to face. I'm not going to get too far. Some of them are sensitive situations that I don't want to push one way or the other publicly, meaning I don't want them to feel one way or another about what I said or didn't say about their situation. So I'm sure that will be a factor with some people moving forward.
So can't confirm yet that Nestor and Hudson are in the portal?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Mike Barber.
Justin, I understand, obviously, you would like to win more games in a given year, and you were pretty clear about that. But is there a element of pride for you? You mentioned that you're amazed you guys had a season. How will you look back on 2020, and is there an element of pride that you got your team to the field that day?
Well, certainly. I mean, there's things you can be proud of, and there's things you should work on. I mean, yeah, you can start to slip down the excuse hole pretty quickly. It's not that hard to do. We all want to do it. We're humans, right? But you got to snap yourself out of that and realize that, you are what your record says you are. Okay? That's a fact, regardless of the circumstances. It's not like we played other teams that didn't have to deal with the same thing. So, that's all part of. Now there are nuances in how each school dealt with it, right? Like some schools had kids in their own dorm room, like the whole team on campus in their own dorm room, which was and then some had to deal with it all during the summertime, so on and so forth. All the millions of variations there, but I'm proud of the way we finished. What I don't like is what I've always been able to do is produce a team, in my opinion, that lived up to the words and the things that we talked about. And we did at times, but not nearly enough. And that's what eats at me, and I'm sure eats at everybody, is like, we feel like that there's glimpses in there where we should be more consistently tough football team.
And I had one on your meeting with Whit. He's the son of a former college coach, and when he was hired, he mentioned he's not an AD who's going to come in and tell his coaches who to hire, who to change, move, fire. Did you have any discussion about staff? What was his take? What did your take? And will there be any changes?
Yeah, we evaluate, both with Whit and myself. Excuse me. We evaluate every aspect of what we're doing, and that includes staff and personnel and strengths and weaknesses and the whole thing. And it continues to get bigger, right? So now you have staff of off the field coaches and staff of recruiting personnel and so on and so forth. But and you're right, he has not been one to do that. But it is pertinent that we talk about those things, and I explain my opinion of the strengths and weaknesses of the people that we have, of how they all seem to fit together, of where we need to get more of, who's overachieving, like all those sorts of evaluations. But I don't anticipate there being any changes. I'm not finished meeting with my whole staff. I started this morning and several things between signing day and all that sort of stuff. But but it's my charge to make and push them all to get better, because we all need to get better.
And today is the start of early signing day, so let me sneak in one on that topic. How do you think you guys did in terms of in-state, and how do you view the momentum in terms of your Virginia recruiting?
Yeah, I'm really excited. We're going to end up with 7 from Virginia. We had 7 that went to school in Virginia, I guess. We went back and pulled up our 2021 or our board from January 15th. Okay, of last year. Okay, so and on our very first board in our meeting on January 15th, 17 of our 24 signees were on that first board. So that means we had evaluated them. We felt like we were recruiting them heavily. We felt like they were Virginia Tech people. We didn't care who else was recruiting them. Those were the guys. Now, were there guys we didn't get? Absolutely. But I think that's a pretty cool sign. We have done that study before, and the numbers have been much, much lower. Okay, much lower. So that really excites me of the top guys that we got a bunch of them.
Andrea Adelson.
Justin, how much pressure now do you feel headed into next season in terms of knowing that there's changes that need to be made to get you guys to be able to play more consistently and have a more productive season?
Well, Andrea, we just finished playing a couple of days ago. Now you got me all pressured up about next year already. Listen, what we're going to do is when we get back in January, they're going to see a group that's fired up to go coach them. And we're going to go coach them the way that we know to coach. And we're going to go put a productive group out there on the field. So I understand the expectations, and I relish in that opportunity to go meet and exceed those. So if you're prepared, it's not pressure. Okay, like it's what we love to do. And so I am excited to step away for a couple days, But I'm super excited for January 18th when our guys come back, and we will not be on the road. That's the other kind of neat part of it, is we'll be able to be here and be around our guys so much more. I'm really excited for that opportunity.
And as a quick follow-up to something Whit said yesterday about this kind of being like year one, even though it's not really because you've already been there for 5 years, but in terms of your staff, your players, is that a fair evaluation or a fair thing to say?
Well, I mean, there's certainly been a lot that goes into that. I mean, you know, he didn't say it was year one. He said there are some things that are like year one, and that's, you know, that's fair. But I get how, you know, the connotation with that, and, you know, I'm not going to make excuses for anything, and it's up to us to go get the job done. I am incredibly excited about the people up and down that hallway, and if we can just get everybody together and get past this, I saw it on the inside of the walls. I saw what was going on, and in the maturation level and the connection and the connectivity that was going on with our players and our staff. It's got me really, really excited about the future.
Thomas.
Hey, Coach. More kind of connected to signing day as well. I know before the season you said your depth at safety was a concern. You signed at least 3 safeties that I can count today, and some other guys who seem like could end up there. How much of a priority was that to kind of improve the depth there? And obviously, headlined by a guy in Jalen Stroman, how important was that kind of family connection there?
Well, the safety position, you know, it might be, it just continues to get more important with everything that's happening on the offensive side of the ball in college football. And we were paper thin, and some of that was injury related, some of it was just pure depth to begin with, but we had to do a good job at that position because it's so incredibly important, and we had some ground to make up in that spot. And, you know, I think Jay Ham and the staff did a great job. You see longer athletes, you know, whether they're on the defensive line or, you know, some of those bigger, longer bodies that may play safety or may play linebacker or may grow into defensive ends. I'm not really sure. But they're great kids that work hard, that have some length and some size. That's kind of what we were looking for. We'll figure it out as they go through the program. But it was important for us to have some guys. And Jalen and that family, they're incredible now. I mean, those people are Hokies. And, you know, obviously Greg was a great player here and loves this place. And I'm so honored to get that the Stroman family trusts us and wants Jalen to come and blaze his own path. You know, I think that was part of the message for him was, yeah, I know Greg was a really, really good player here, but, you know, you have a chance to blaze your own path as well, and I think you certainly will.
Norm.
Hey, Justin. Whit also mentioned yesterday that he didn't give any kind of edict about a required number of wins or expected goals or something specific about something to shoot for as far as you know, what you need to aim for going into the season next year. Did that surprise you at all, or did you kind of get the sense from the tone of the conversation that was not what it was going to be about?
No, that did not surprise me that he did not say that. No, like that's never been a real conversation or a way that we've ever approached anything, you know. So no, that didn't surprise me. That he did not bring it up. That he did not say that.
And then this Mahmoudi kid, the kid that you guys flipped, I guess, from South Florida. How did he kind of come on your radar, and what was the story behind that?
Well, I think it starts with TAP and TierLink and our recruiting staff continuing to probe and look. You know, this is the most unique year, probably followed by next year, of evaluation. You have kids that have not played a senior year that signed, right? We have kids that I have never been in the same room with that signed, that continuing to use our connections and look and see who has great senior years, because, you know, sometimes that gets lost and you can really find really good players that come on as they get a little bit older. Well, like in Virginia, hopefully they get to play in the spring, but there's been no senior year for some of those guys. So, you know, our recruiting staff continuing to use their connections and look around, and TAP and TierLink continuing to stay active with somebody that we got on that had a really good senior year and we hit it off with, and everything checked out.
I know you've got a few months here now, obviously, to sort of analyze the situation at quarterback, but the last time we saw Hendon, obviously, he was struggling quite a bit, both physically and seemed like he might not have been you were mentally in the right frame of mind for that game early on anyway. Where does he kind of leave off this season? Have you had a chance to talk with him about how it all kind of ended, and clearly didn't end the way that he would have liked it to, or you for that matter, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure he's disappointed. You know, ultimately we'll see how it all works out, but it was kind of, I don't know how to describe it, Norm. It was a little bit an odd ending, I guess, is the best way to say it. You know, I'm thankful that he's okay more than anything. It appears that, you know, according to our medical people, we did full workup and all that sort of stuff, that he's okay. But so it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out.
Gene Wong.
Yeah, Justin Witt mentioned to us yesterday also that he's moving on from Frank Beamer, and Bud Foster may have been a little more difficult than anticipated. How would you assess that? And do you feel like you moved to a point where this is your program, or there's always going to be that kind of shadow of Coach Beamer and Bud following you around as you move forward?
Oh, we should always celebrate what Frank did here. It's amazing. I mean, to take this place and what it's meant to Virginia Tech, it has nothing to do, following Frank is not hard because of Frank, right? Like, he couldn't be any better and more supportive. And Bud has been absolutely fantastic, and, you know, worked his tail off while we were together to go and you know, I hate it for Bud that last year we were so close to finishing that thing off in epic style. You know, that we were really, really close, like 1 or 2 plays away. But so it doesn't have anything to do with them. It's just, you know, we as a program, and Whit knows this, like, we are working to improve and in some areas, quite honestly, catch up to where we need to be, and whether that's financially or whether that's facilities wise, we all know that we have work to do to get it up to where we want it to be, to give our guys the chances that we want to give them, and to have the program that we want. And so, I mean, to me, that's the part that we're straining on. And, you know, we worked on it during the COVID shutdown, and you know, raised some money, you know, during really difficult times, and are doing some fantastic things that are going directly to benefit our kids, that I'm really proud of, that we worked, you know, really hard to do, and had help from Charlie Flieger, who's been an incredibly selfless person to help us with that. And so, you know, that's the part where we got to continue to push forward and develop this program. It's not just how much our kids bench press or what their grades are, but it's pushing this whole program forward.
Aaron?
Justin, when you talk about the tenets of your program, the hard, smart stuff, I think 2 of those words we see most manifest from the outside on the defensive side of the ball, right? The hard and tough. You played a great game defensively against Virginia. What needs to happen on that side of the ball for that to be more consistent? And how does Hamilton's, I guess, hopefully a smoother year ahead, how can that help, integrate his ideas and the talent you have?
Yeah, we need to get to practice is what we need. And, I felt like, so just the big picture, and I'll get back to the point if you need to, but one of the things that in retrospect that I feel like I should have done better is when we were in the stretch of playing 9 straight games, if you look at us at the end of those, we are slow. We're a slow football team. And, I feel like maybe we left our team on the practice field. But I knew we needed to practice. Like we had been so far behind. I knew we needed the work, and I knew we needed the work on the defensive side of the ball. So when I turn on the film and I see us, those last couple weeks, and we look like we're running out of steam. We had no legs. And then I look at us play, and we, losing to Clemson is, I'm not happy with that. But when you turn on the film and watch us play, it's obvious that we are a much fresher and faster football team. And how could I have managed those 9 weeks better so that maybe we could have made it through there a little bit smoother? But I kept coming back to, we need this practice. We've missed all this practice time. So, I think Jay Ham's learned a lot on the job, and I think you all are going to hear from him today. And I know Cornelson continues to learn and get better. And, there's no shortage of ideas in that room. Yeah, there's really accomplished coaches in there. And, it's Jay Ham's job to pare it all down and have it all fit together. And I really felt like by the end of the year, certainly in the last game, but I felt like we were surging there in terms of getting it all to fit together.
Jermaine?
Coach, first of all, thanks for your time this afternoon. I got 2 questions for you. Number one, your thoughts on a couple of players from Salem High School and Jaden and Jordan McDonald coming to your program. And then also the second one is just looking ahead at next year's football schedule because, we've talked about some of the games for next year. Just your thoughts about those 2 things.
Full disclosure, I have not looked at next year's football schedule. The McDonald brothers, I'm really excited about. These are guys that we have known about for some time. Really, we're hopeful to get to watch them play their senior year, but just really high character, long, talented guys that aren't afraid to work, that I think are going to have a chance as they spend their time here to develop into really quality people and quality players.
Mike Maslick, you had a follow-up?
Yeah, a couple things if I could. With Jermaine Waller, I've asked you about him all year, and he didn't get to finish the season. Is he healthy now? Is he coming back? I know you don't want to comment on everybody, but him specifically with the year he had, where is he at physically, and what's kind of going on with him?
Yeah, he's coming back. I anticipate him to be full go in our off season when we come back. He wasn't good enough to play, but I anticipate that he'll be healed up and ready to go full go. That was my meeting with him the other day, that he'll be ready to be full speed and have a great off season.
And wide receiver, do you view this as been kind of an issue for you with depth a couple years? And now, you've lost a bunch of guys. Is it going to be a year or 2 before you can get back to where you want to at that position?
I don't think so. I think we'll be all right. I'm excited about what we've got and what we've got coming back. I don't know that we'll see what everybody decides, but I feel good about what we may have coming back and the development of some of our play. I'll use Shenga as an example. He was put in the most unfair situation you could ever imagine. And it was frustrating for him at times. I mean, when he finally got here, he didn't know anybody, and we wouldn't let him practice. He was going through all the COVID stuff, and then, he finally practices a little bit, and then he misses a couple weeks, and then next thing you know, the games start coming, and there's no more development. Okay, well, fast forward to the bye week, he gets a little bit of work, gets a little bit of confidence. In the last 2 weeks, he was a productive player for us, and I feel like that's given him, I hope, a glimmer of hope and understanding of what he can be moving forward. I think he can be a very good player at this level, and so we got to get Jaden Payute back healthy. Like, he was a guy that I am and was over the moon excited about. That unfortunately, broke his leg there in fall camp, and really learning how to play receiver. So I'm excited, and we may not have 10 of them that we're running through there, but if the key is always to stay healthy. But I feel good about the guys we've got.
And with Taj Bullock, I've talked to him a couple of times. Really poised young kid, and his offensive coordinator, loves him. You were recruiting somebody else, then you got him, and to land him, how do you feel about that? And just what about him is special? It seems like he's a really impressive young kid.
How do I feel about it? I couldn't be more excited. He is one of the most grateful people that I've ever recruited. In terms of just grateful for the opportunity, appreciative of the chance to get a great education. He has been all in for Virginia Tech, and without ever wavering, without a doubt. And he texts me more than I text him, probably. Which never. Just constantly, great job, or heck of a job, coach, or whatever it is. Just get the guys going today, and just an upbeat, positive person that's very grateful for this opportunity, that ready to roll his sleeves up and start working.
And then just last real quickly, with the transfer rule and the one-time exception, could you envision where teams or you guys split your focus to get guys that have transferred already and used it, so you don't have to have a constant cycle of transfers? Could you envision that?
Absolutely. Yeah, I can imagine 2 separate divisions in your recruiting office too. It's basically the NFL, right? It's basically free agent market. For the NFL, it's free agent market, and it's college evaluation. For us, it would be the transfer portal and high school evaluation. But I could totally see that being a philosophy. Yes.
Thanks.
A couple more, Hank.
Hey, what's it been like the last couple of weeks for you? And I apologize if you've addressed this because but what's it been like for you the last couple of weeks with people calling for your head?
Oh, the first thing I would say is I have just, tried to bury myself in our players and trying to give them the best chance to have success, because these kids really gutted out a really difficult situation. So, but Eric, we all want to be liked, right? We can say those things don't bother me and all that kind of stuff, but we all have those feelings inside that we wish people liked us or said nice things about us. It always makes us feel good, but that's part of the job. And if you coach at a place that football is important to a lot of people, as it is here at Virginia Tech, then you've got to take the praise with the other things, and that's kind of part of it. So, it probably bothers the people around me quite a bit. My parents and the people that are close to me, it probably bothers them the most. But I always can immerse myself in work. And immerse myself in our players. But, it's part of the deal today.
The bowl thing has been part of the heritage advantage of Virginia Tech? Sorry, my brother's calling me.
Maybe you need to answer it. Is it important?
No, I'm not going to talk. I'm going to talk to you.
Oh, okay.
I can talk to him whenever I want to. The bowl thing has been a big part of Virginia Tech, and it's something they've emphasized in their recruiting and all that stuff. What goes into your decision to play in a bowl or not play in a bowl this year, and to keep that streak alive?
Yeah, I mean, our players are aware of all of that, and they take it very seriously. So are our coaches. So am I. I mean, I believe that the players are the ones that have sacrificed the most, so they should make the decision. So, you know, that's what I did. I told them I'm going to support them 100%. I painted a very realistic picture of what it may look like or what it would look like. You know, the couple places we would go, what our schedule would look like, the best I could. You know, what the experience would be like. And I think it really came down to, you know, as much as, you know, there's nothing that they could ever do to recreate what happened with our team last week. And, you know, I think they're tired. I think, you know, it's been really, really difficult, and I think their mental health is an important part of what we should take into consideration. You know, how they've had to live their lives and what they've been doing and sacrificing, and you know, they've sacrificed enough, and I support them 100%. And I hate the fact that, you know, there's a lot of other things at play in that, but the bottom line is I'm going to support our guys. Ultimately, this is about our players, and I'm going to support them.
Did you feel like you were fighting for your job yesterday or 2 days ago when Whit came in your office and you spent 4 hours kind of defending your program?
No, and I wouldn't say that I wouldn't use that term, to be honest with you. I wouldn't use the term defending our program. I would use the term talking about what we're doing. But no, I did not feel that way.
Thank you.
Andrew?
Hey, Coach, I want to ask you a player-specific question about signing day. Jaden Keller was one of those few guys that got to play high school football this fall. What can you just say about him and his athleticism? Do you kind of see him as a Jamari Connor in y'all's program? I know one of his first big hits this year, he knocked the player's helmet off. So he's a big hitter like Jamari.
I don't know where it's going to go. I'm excited to get him here. I know that. And, you know, he's not all into all that recruiting stuff, and there's a lot of people that came in that tried to sway him to not come here. And this is where he wanted to be. It's going to be fun to see. I don't know if it'll be in the alley or if it'll be closer to the football, but he's physical and strong and got a chance to be a really, really good player. He's kind of in that line of guys that, you know, we tried to, particularly on the defensive side of the ball, you know, try to recruit some guys that maybe we weren't positive where they were going to be. You know, like maybe they were going to move closer to the ball or switch positions. And, you know, we'll get him in here and see, but I'm excited about him. He's certainly a physical presence out there on the field.
Do you think he was kind of a steal in this recruiting class? I know he had all Power 5 offers, Tennessee and places like that. And I know Tennessee hasn't really been a state y'all recruited a lot, but this year y'all got a few recruits coming out of there.
Yeah, I do. I feel very fortunate to get him, as I do with everybody that signed. Like, I feel great about our evaluation process. Many of these kids we had in camp, but well beforehand. So, like I said, we had them identified early on in the process, and so I feel really fortunate that he's coming.
A couple more, Evan.
Yeah, you already touched on some of the Virginia kids, so I want to talk about some that aren't from the region that you normally recruit. DJ Harvey, Kenji Christian, and Dwayne Lofton. You know, what are your thoughts on those three guys, and what did it take to land them?
Well, Lofton plays for Joseph Turner, and Joseph Turner, I was his running back coach at TCU. So Joe and I go way back, obviously. One of the favorite kids I've ever been around. I'm so proud that he's grown up and married and got kids all over the place and coaching football in Texas. So I had a pretty good in there with JT. So we got pretty close with Mr. Lofton pretty quickly. Who are the other ones? You said DJ Harvey. Yeah, I mean, all the way out to California, he does have some ties to this part of the country, which I think obviously helped. But just a really fun kid to be around and talk to, and we were turning over stones and found him, and he expressed some serious interest in us, and it's kind of one of those deals where you think, yeah, well, we'll see. But the longer it went, the better we felt about him as a person and his family, and the better we felt about the chances of him coming to Virginia Tech. And then I think Kenji Christian was the other one. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, Kenji, state champion down there, fantastic football team, was one of our early guys that we really thought had size and explosion. We really felt, we knew we were going to have to do battle with a bunch of people down there to try and get him up here, but was one of our early guys that we identified that we thought had a tremendous amount of talent, and looking forward to getting him up here.
Last one, Andy.
Hey, Justin, you talked about identifying guys early in the process. I would imagine there's still a great amount of guesswork that goes into how these guys are going to project when a lot of them don't have a senior season or don't have a camp circuit like that. What has that been like to recruit this year? Do you feel you know these guys as well as past classes, or is that just impossible to do in this climate?
I feel like the one I'm really worried about is the next one. This one, there's so many of these guys that came to camp early or that we saw play as younger players that I feel really good about that. The next, like if this thing continues on through the summer and there's no camp, and the next class is, in terms of evaluation, is gonna be really difficult in my opinion. And certainly there's some things that I wish we could have been able to do, as I'm sure every program does, but many of these guys, before the pandemic broke out, we had really spent a lot of time on when they were younger players.
All right, sorry, one more. Mike Barber, wrap it up.
Yeah, Justin, I'm curious. You mentioned some sort of the unfortunate side parts of the business that are less fun than coaching football. Negative recruiting. Did you talk to a lot of kids and parents about your job status in the last few days, and how do you deal with that kind of a question?
Certainly. We talked about it with some guys. It was pretty easy. I just told them the truth. I mean, talked about what we were doing and where we were going, and I mean, I knew, like I said, I don't know that. I don't know, maybe Whit would disagree, but I met with Whit every single week, so I knew kind of where he was at. Were there some things that we talked about that we hadn't talked? Certainly, but I knew where he was kind of at, you know what I mean, heading into that meeting. It's not like I just went in there totally blindfolded with no clue what was going on. So that and I appreciate that. That made it a little bit easier to handle all these guys.
And to clarify something that Whit said, he said when you speak to us at press conferences, sometimes you're not speaking to us, you're speaking to the other team. He said he'd like for you to explain what he meant. Do you know what
yeah, when I go to a Monday press conference, okay, I know the opposing coach is going to pull up either the transcript or the video of it and go through it and look for anything to use the exact same way that I'm going to go into my office and go look at his and go all the way through it. So in my mind, I'm talking about on those, like this one, no. But in the season, like in my mind, I'm talking to, like the head coach at the school that I'm playing and his whole team, because he's going to pick and choose whatever he wants them to know. So that's why I'm pretty measured, as you can imagine, because in my mind I keep envisioning whatever I say coming out of my mouth and being played over to his entire team.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Coach. We'll have Coach Cornelson and Coach Hamilton coming up next. Stand by.
Justin, I think you should rethink that waterfall in the locker room thing, man.
You're for it. You want it? Is that what you're saying?
I think I put you over the top, dude.
Remember, do you run a waterfall business on the side or something? Is that what you're angling for?
Better than pickles, isn't it?
That was quite the fake laugh he gave you too.
Gotta
Yeah.
go.
Oh, Brooke's still here.